Hey, Charles Onyett here for IGN. I'm with Andrew Goldfarb, and we just recently had a chance to play BioShock Infinite from Irrational for the first time since it was announced, and there's a lot going on in this game. We have a lot to report. There's a preview live on IGN right now that has plenty of detail, but let's go over some of the bigger points. So first off, the game you play as Booker, so in Infinite, you are not just some character with no personality. Booker talks, he interacts with the world, and he feels like, you know, a consistent presence as you play.
Yeah, he absolutely does. I mean, in BioShock, the character you're playing as is basically a conduit for you. So it's a way for you, it's a lens for you to see Rapture, to see what's going on. In Infinite, Booker has his own opinions about it, and you might disagree with what he's doing or what he's saying, but like, it's that character. You're playing as Booker, not as yourself. And it's definitely, it makes it feel different. You know, I think you get a different experience that way.
It's definitely a different kind of feel, at least in terms of how some of the story is delivered. You still find audio logs and stuff like that, so there is some of that, but within, I mean, this is a new setting. It's a city in the sky called Columbia that you visit to rescue a woman named Elizabeth, who's kind of imprisoned there. And yeah, as you walk around, you will see people wandering around. It is very much an alive city. It's not just this dead space that some horrible thing happened, you have to figure it out. You're interacting with the city while it's in operation.
And that's what's so cool about having that Elizabeth mechanic, because Elizabeth is with you always. And so like, rather than having like the hacking mini games and some of the stuff that you had in the first BioShock, that stuff done by Elizabeth. So like, Elizabeth will open doors for you. Elizabeth will do these things. And the way they explain that is that she's been trapped in this tower and spent her whole life reading up on how to do these things. You know, she's like an expert in code breaking and lock picking and all these cool things. And like, it's awesome having a character there who's kind of experiencing this world with you, seeing things as you go, and is able to interact with it in the same way you are.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, so we only played the first couple hours of the game, so we don't have a full overview of it, but they introduce a lot of interesting themes right in the front end of that game. So there are tons of ideas, lots of big characters shown to you, but it's not like there's one character that you never meet that you kind of have to, you're forced to trust. So it doesn't feel like the game's necessarily building towards this big reveal type moment that anyone who played System Shock 2, BioShock 1 would be very familiar with. But still some very strong themes of, you know, religious worship of America's founders, a lot of racism in the game, a lot of violence in the game. It doesn't shy away from those types of issues, which yeah. I think makes it a stronger experience.
It's true, and I think it also feels like BioShock. Like, this is BioShock through and through. I mean, when you get a new quest, it's the same noises in BioShock, and actually, Vigors are operating in the same way as plasmids. I mean, rather than running out of Eve, your kind of blue meter now in the bottom of the screen is called salt, and
it's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly, it is. It's the same resource mechanic as plasmids and Eve. You now have Vigors and salts, and so when you run out of that, you have to find more, and you can use your Vigors. There's you know, Devil's Kiss is you throw a fire grenade, Murder of Crows, you can summon some crows to kill people.
Which is the bee's plasmid from BioShock.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, Murder of Crows is basically Insect Swarm, Devil's Kiss is, what is it, Inferno?
Incinerate.
Oh yeah, Incinerate. Shock Jockey will be Electro Bolt. Like, I mean, there's definitely lines to draw. It's the same type of mechanic, but it still feels, I mean, it makes sense in the context of the world.
Yeah,
you know, and you can do some cool stuff.
And you can still upgrade those things too, so to gain additional functionality. And interestingly, they limit you in terms of weapons as well. You can't carry around your full arsenal. You only have 2 weapons. So you do have to make decisions there about what you actually want to carry around. You can still upgrade the weapons too, so a lot of those systems are still in place. The actual gameplay feels very much like BioShock, like you're saying, but the addition of Elizabeth, who is basically with you, once you find her, she's with you a lot of the time, contributes to gameplay, kind of throws you helpful items like health and a lot of money. She throws you a lot of money. But her presence seems like it'll have more interesting implications later on, because she can actually open up tears in the environment and sort of bring in turrets and health packs and things like that to help you out. There's so much going on in the game.
It's true. It feels like it's overwhelming at first. Like, it's also the same kind of things we've seen in the previous demos. I mean, you're jumping out of skylines, you're gliding around the city, you can jump off those skylines and attack people and then jump back on. I mean, everything, you know, there are parts that move really quickly, and, you know, it feels very different than Rapture because you are outdoors. So, I mean, it's not meant to be claustrophobic. It's not meant to be this, like, dark, you know, haunting city. It's more of, like, this bright outdoor place where kind of underneath the surface a lot of stuff is bubbling up, I feel like.
And a lot of things, a lot of very weird supernatural things that are shown as you play, and we won't go into those specifically, but there's clearly something very strange going on in the city, aside from it being a floating city, which I think we can all agree that's kind of strange.
A little weird, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blown away by how much it feels like, you know, because it's set, you know, has different name, or it has the same name rather, but it has a totally different city, totally different set of characters. I think you wonder how it can stay consistent with the BioShock franchise, why it would retain the name. But as soon as you play it, it's clear that it is very much BioShock. I mean, even thematically, it, like you were saying, it has a lot of that like really like heavy content that's like really this like really bold decisions and storytelling that they're doing, and also, you know, right down to the mechanics. Like it is a BioShock game through and through, which is really cool.
And you can read a lot more about Infinite, which is coming out in March of 2013 now. Oh. It was delayed a little bit.
Another month.
But yeah, it will be out in March in 2013, and you can read a lot more on IGN.